right? Like, I've been scratching my balls for years, and I got myself good today. That one. It's all red. Now I gotta ask, because normally there's comments by now. Spencer, are we live? Like, are we on YouTube and Facebook? Because I would hate to waste those scratching my balls lines, because Clinton's gonna pass out.
Oh, too much fun. Okay, so first off, you and I both had crappy days. You had one. Mine wasn't too bad, but when you talk about it, so brother to brother, I appreciate you letting me know that. We said we'd come on, have fun, and here we are already laughing. So the show's at least therapy for us, if nobody else. And, little problems. You had a bad day because you scratched your balls, or your eyeball, I should say. And, life just kicked me in the balls today a little bit, too. So we're all good. But we're here and we're happy. Matt Williamson's going to join us to talk about life and what it's like to be a new dad, a recent winter national champion in Florida. Had a bet about sharing carbs with Gordy Gundaker, so we're going to talk about that too today.
So just before we came on, and Clinton, I thank you for stopping so I could interrupt you politely. We had just talked about how fun it would be to have a night where the whole show was innuendo and dirty jokes, and then someone makes a comment about their friend on Long Island getting 12 inches. And I think that's great. Like, I'm really happy for them. It seems like bragging a little bit to me, but, right? Like, well, we accept all comments.
My eyes are watering because I'm laughing. Your eyes are watering because they're in pain. Oh, man. Damn. We're going to talk about a couple other subjects. Matt's the only guest we got together right now. We've got a lot of things to discuss, a lot of things to unpack, and a few topics to talk about. So we don't want to waste our guest time as ever, and I see Matty's on, so as soon as he's ready, send him our way, Spencer. Matt, as we talked about in the opener, just came back from winning the championship at Volusia in the weeks of racing they have there. Which is basically 4 nights. And, we're going to talk about what it means to pick that up again and what does it really mean to be a Winter Nationals champion. So we'll talk to Matt Williamson as soon as he's ready here. Send him our way. Matty, how's it going? He's paused, though.
Uh-oh. He must have got a call.
That's solid pose, though. If we had to split screen, if we had to stop screen. All right, bring him back. I see he's back. Matt, how's it going, man?
It's good, buddy. Sorry about that. I'm in the process of moving, and I unplugged the Wi-Fi from my garage. So I was in the back part of my garage and didn't really have great service. So figured I'd run to the front and catch the Wi-Fi from the house.
Why are you moving?
This one really isn't that big for having a daughter, and just it's nice to have some room to spread your wings. And this place is a little too small for us right now with Brenna.
Matt, let's talk about what it means to pick up the Big Gator at Volusia. Now, that place seems gnarly from the outside, and to race it, I can't imagine what it's like to be out there going at it like that. But why is it important on your calendar for you guys to go down? Is it a shakedown? Can you learn something? Is it a confidence builder? Because we've seen even some of our local sprint car guys, and this is our kind of assessment of the situation, probably wish they didn't go down because they had a bad wreck, like a guy like Nick Sharon, basically totaled the car there for no point value in the season. There's a lot of risk to it. Obviously, your situation is a bit different at the level you're at, but why Volusia? Why is it important?
I always felt like Volusia got you going in the right direction before you got to the north. I felt like back in the day when I went down there with my own stuff and then went back to the place and totaled, I always felt like I had an advantage over most of the people just because you'd have 5 races under your belt. But, it's certainly costly. If you use it just as a race kind of deal, it's not really worth it. If you do it as a vacation where, you get away, have some fun with your crew guys and bring your family down for a few days, it's a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite weeks of the year. And, obviously I'm very fortunate. I got the people behind me that make it so I can go down there and race for some money. But, it's stuff can go south there in a hurry for sure.
So I was lucky enough, Matt, to get to experience part of your speed weeks, the all tech part. Talk about how much different it is, the hanging out in the hotel until the front counter person kicks us all out. But not having to go from track to track, actually being able to go back to the same place and hang out with your crew, with other crews hanging around. How much different is that from the grind of the summer?
It's like 100 degrees different, you know. I actually really enjoyed Alltech for that reason. You know, we got to go back to the hotel, go back to Gators, wherever it was, and enjoy the time down there. I mean, I ran okay the first night and then bad the second and third night, but still it was enjoyable because you don't have the pressure of the points and you don't have the pressure of everything else on your head, I should say. You know, we used Alltech kind of as a test session and tested some things that we've wanted to try for a few years, but we don't really have races we can really throw away. And with going down to Volusia anyways, Alltech kind of is the perfect scenario for that, where you can test some things, judge whether they work or not off of your competitors, and then head over to Volusia and get stuff back in order before you head north.
Let's switch over to the bet on the weekend. You were on a podcast. Tell us how that all went down, and we have a clip of it, I think. But let's hear your assessment to lead us into it. How did it get started?
First of all, I did not think the Canadian men were going to lose that game. Obviously, I bet knowing that they'd be, you know, I felt the better team. Obviously, Connor Hellebuck played a big factor in that whole game, but. And anybody that's a real hockey fan knows exactly what happened. And, you know, all credit to the Americans, man. They kept themselves in it until overtime. And then, you know, the goalie definitely got them the gold medal. But they played a great game. It was an unbelievable game to watch as a hockey fan. And I was looking forward to it, man. 4 years or 8 years or 10 years or 12 years, whatever it was since we've seen best on best hockey for Olympic medals. I think I was in Cuba in 2010 when Sidney Crosby scored the golden goal. I still remember where I was. So, yeah, that led into the whole hockey deal, led into, you know, Gordy and myself getting back and forth and Don about, you know, who's going to win the game and whatnot. And, you know, I knew the American women were going to beat the Canadians because that women team for the Americans was really good. I don't think anybody scored on them for like 5 games in a row. So I said to Gordy, you know, we were talking about the Dome and, you know, how it's one of my bucket list races. And we just made a friendly wager there that I could race his car at the Dome if the Canadians won. And he'd race my car at Dirt Week if the Americans won. So thankfully for me, he got scared beforehand. And we made a little side wager on Facebook where down in Charlotte, I'm going to have to wear an American hockey jersey one of the days at the racetrack. And if the Canadians were to win, he would have had to wear a Canadian jersey. So, down there, I'm not sure what day it's going to be. I'm going to have to swallow my pride and put the American jersey on.
Well, they already hang on, Adam. They already got it going on the social, so we don't need to watch the video, Spencer. But show the picture of Matt in the American jersey while Adam takes it away.
And I was just texting with Ray Morneau here, seeing if we can't get him on later, but. Matt, wasn't there talk about driving each other's race cars? Like, what we're wearing each other's jerseys? Come on now.
Yeah, so we were supposed to do a ride swap for Dirt Week and St. Louis. There it is. That's funny. Whoever did that on Photoshop did a great job. But yeah, the winner was going to get the other person's car to race at, I would say, the biggest race in St. Louis, late model yearly fashion. And obviously Northeast race is the biggest race of the year is Dirt Week for us. So yeah, Gordy got scared ahead of time and reached out on Facebook and said, hey, you know, I think we should change the bet and make it a little more realistic. I don't want to go to Dirt Week and ruin your stuff, and you probably don't want to come to the Dome and ruin my stuff. So yeah, we made a friendly wager on Facebook away from the podcast and amended the bet before the game even started. So yeah, it was probably a good thing we did because obviously I was on the losing end of it.
So what do you have to warm up for next, Matt? Is Port Royal the next, or do you guys go to Georgetown before that?
No, we got Port Royal next, March 14th, 15th, and then head to Georgetown with the Super Dirt Series 2 weeks after that. So I got moving on my plate this week. That's not fun when you've got the equipment that I got with a surface plate and shear and a brake and a bead roller and a welder and all the other fun stuff that comes along with trying to be a fabricator on the off season. So I got that this week. Hopefully finish up the shop so that I can work in it next weekend, do a little bit of work on my big block car, and then we'll head to Port Royal and we're going to run the same car we ran in Eastern States with the Barrett 3 and a CC motor. So I'm excited about that. That thing ran pretty good down in Eastern States. So hopefully this year at Port Royal, we're not bringing a knife to a gunfight, and we'll be hopefully competing for wins.
I got two things. I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to set Adam up with the next question. Adam, if you remember 2 weeks ago, we talked about drivers saying they needed special engines for different types of tracks. So I want you to discuss that. Matt, fan question here. Have you ever thought about moving to the States since that's where you race the most lately?
Maybe before I had a family, I would have. It's tough now with Natalie working in Canada and, our whole family's here. My mom and dad, her mom and dad, close relatives and everything else. So it obviously would make things way more convenient. I could probably actually have a T-shirt side of my racing program. But, being from Canada, obviously there's a lot of downside to it. With the border, you can't bring parts back from the racetrack. You can't bring T-shirts to the racetrack for the fans. And obviously beer's more expensive in Canada, so that kind of sucks. But it's something that's probably, I should have did when I was maybe 18 or 19, not 36.
Holy moly, are you 36?
In a couple weeks.
Jesus.
Yeah, that makes me feel old, man. I can't believe it. I still think he was 25, kid, so.
I feel like I'm 25 sometimes. I feel like I'm 65 sometimes. So night 3 in Alltech, I felt like I was 65, and night 4 at Volusia, I felt like I was 75. So back to Canada, back home, and start eating salads and working out a little bit more before we hit the next road trip banger.
So I'm going to set you up for failure here, Maddie, because I can do it to you. How important is it to have the right chassis engine combination to go to a racetrack to perform, especially with the short track Super Series?
Yeah. All of our chassis are the same. Shocks and springs are generally the same between American racers to Hoosiers. So that stuff's pretty easy, but the motor stuff is really probably what the biggest downfall to the modified division. I look at sprint car racing as an example where you have 360s and 410s. That's it. Like you either race a 410 or you race a 360. If you could make modified racing, have 3 combinations: crate motors for sportsmen, 358s for 358s, and big blocks for open shows, I think it would be way more healthy. But that's a road the modified division has went down well before me and probably well after me that I don't think it's fixable. There's so many people that have invested so much money in open motors. There's some tracks like Outlaw Speedway that runs open motors weekly. Utica Rome did last year. Obviously, they've switched over to 358s, but it's probably one of the biggest downfalls for racing as far as modifieds go. The tough thing is, like, unless you're really close with your engine builder and you can build a good enough package to bring to Thunder Mountain that you would bring at Can-Am, you really have to have 3 or 4 motors. Terry Vince built a 430 for Wayne and myself last year that I won at Can-Am. I won at Mohawk with it, and then we brought it to Thunder Mountain and won at that place too. So I felt like that was a pretty good 430 where it could race smaller tracks and bigger tracks all at the same time. But the open motor stuff, a lot of it's based off of late model racing, and a lot of the people that build those motors, whether it's Clements or Pro Power or Wagner, they're all really built off of a late model base where the 430s are almost too big to bring to Thunder Mountain or I-88 or Batavia or even Outlaw. But then when you go to Port Royal, you almost need to have like a wide bore 430 and, basically bring the biggest motor you got or bring the best big block you got. So that's, the tough part about the Short Jack Super Series. And I feel like that's why it's probably not as successful as it could have been, because Brett is probably one of the better promoters in the Northeast. And it seems like the series has kind of fallen off over the last 3 years.
Well, I think Clint, I've got a couple of follow-ups here if you don't. In the early stages, what Brett Deo did was allow a lot of different tracks, a lot of different regions to come together. He did what he had to do, and it's hard to undo it once you get there. But talk about tuning a big block to the track you're going to run at. And I'm going to give 2 examples of why I think you race car drivers are freaking insane. And I love you. Alan Johnson takes his weekly car to Syracuse and wins at the Moody Mile. Felix Roy, quite different, takes his Albany-Saratoga car to Volusia, where he doesn't think he can compete, has his best runs ever. So, are race car drivers just crazy and they need to be coddled to think that they have something perfectly tuned to the track like Tom Cruise did in Days of Thunder when he got his perfect tires put on? Or is there science to it? Like, how did Felix Roy overachieve and have his best finish ever in a car that shouldn't have been good at Volusia?
So, I can't speak for Alan, obviously, because that was, well before my time, but I'll speak for Felix or the Felix situation. The tough part that he could run into bringing a weekly motor to Volusia where it's pretty fast. Obviously, the track was the fastest it's ever been this week. Time trials, you're pretty much holding it to the boards. If Felix would have drawn, a tough group where he had Stu, Shepard, Larry White, a lot of guys that can fast time in a group, and he's in with that group, he's going to have a hard time making the redraw. And then when you don't make the redraw down there, you're really setting yourself up where you can't win the race. I mean, I think we've seen it with me. I couldn't even win from 8th, where unfortunately racing's gone like that, where, the days of winning from 18th at a weekly racetrack from handicapping, those are gone now. I mean, now we're fighting for, halves of tenths, and it's just so tight. I mean, if you don't go out in time trials with a motor you feel like has, one of the top 5% or a motor you feel like is in the top 5% in the pit area, you're probably gonna struggle in time trials, and then you'll be watching the draw and seeing who's in your group and trying to kind of play that card. But it's tough. Like, we bring our best motor to Charlotte, we bring our best motor to Lebanon Valley, and we bring our best motor to Volusia. I think that a lot of time we bring small, Port Royal last year is a perfect example. We bring smaller motors thinking that we're going to be good late in the feature and that's what's going to win us the money. But if you don't make it into the draw, you're kind of putting yourself behind the 8 ball to begin with. So it's almost easier to detune a big block than it is to look for horsepower when you get to the racetrack. So racing now is so tight, especially the modified stuff. It's so tight that we're getting headers made differently to tune to different track conditions. We're tuning carburetors as the night goes on. I know back in the day, they'd take a little bit of timing out of the motor and that would kill some horsepower, or they'd put restrictors in and that would kill horsepower. But it's so much more than that now, because all these people that build these products are so smart that they've figured out how to tune carburetors so that they restart better, but they don't spin the tires after a certain RPM. But then they pick up after 5,000 RPM, and then you can go out for time trials with a carburetor that's really good from 6,000 RPM to 8,000 RPM. So, the days of setting up these race cars anymore is you have got to be an engineer with a motor and be very smart on that side of it.
I want to switch over to tires a bit, Matt, because in my role as a promoter, and helping govern everything from mini stocks up through the sprint cars, it gets suggested at least once a year by multiple people, just go with open tires. You're a guy who races on 2 distinct tire brands, depending on which team and what series you're with. What would your thought be about an open tire rule? My rebuttal is it's going to draw a larger gap between the haves and the have-nots, because the bigger teams can have 20, 50 tires on their rack, and the low budget guys going to have the 4 and maybe 1 spare. So what are your thoughts on an open tire rule? Is it something that's good for racing, something that's bad for racing?
There's two sides to it. I think that you're definitely right as like drawing the line between the haves and the have-nots. Obviously, I'm a guy that races 95% of my races on Hoosier tires. Um, I don't have easy access to American racers, so I think that's part of like why I don't have so many of them. Um, but the other side of it, like the good thing about open tire would be that the tire companies would almost have to challenge each other for pricing. They couldn't just charge you $600 for a right rear tire and say, you have to run this tire and it's $600. It is what it is. Pay it or don't pay it. Like, that's the kind of shitty part of having a spec tire per se, or having a tire that everybody has to run. Um, an open tire thing may bring the tire companies to putting more money to the halves. Hoosier would probably come out and say, "Here, Matt Shepard, we're going to give you 10 grand a year. Can you run our tires and don't run American Racers ever?" And then American Racer might go to Stu Friesen and say, "Here's 10 grand, Stu. Can you run our tires?" And then the people that run 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, they would have to have both options to try and keep up with the Joneses. So, I don't know. I think that tire rules are probably better for racing, as long as the tire companies don't get greedy and they can keep putting money into racing. I know that Hoosier Tire does a lot for the Super Dirt Series. They certainly put a lot of money into it. They have like a weekly deal. They give a lot of tire certificates. I don't see that as much on the American Racer side, but I also don't race American Racers, so they probably do have an American Racer Cup, but I just don't know how that goes. And I think there's pluses and minuses to it. In the modified world, I don't think it's ideal. Maybe for Oswego, being one racetrack that really races sprint cars locally to us, anyways, I think it might be something you could think about. But I'd be ignorant to tell you that I knew any different.
No, Matt, that was a well-crafted answer, right? Like, because you have to look at it from both sides. What are the benefits? But you go straight to the cost, right? Which is a benefit when you look at the bottom line, what you can race to win, and where the money comes from, and where it goes to.
Yeah,
so,
and I do think that tire companies are getting to be crazy. Like, I don't know if there's an option for bringing in them tires that are made in China. And obviously, I like products that are made in North America, and I'm proud to be Canadian. I think that Canadian businesses build great products, American businesses build great products, and the more we can keep the Chinese shit out of our racing world, I think the better we're going to be as far as like long lasting in this sport. But I did see a PRI. There was a racing tire that was like 25% of the cost of what a Hoosier tire would have been. So obviously there's ways to make them cheaper, but I don't think that Hoosier's making them any cheaper for us anytime soon. If you go to PRI, there's like 1,000 people walking around in purple shirts that are all probably paid to be there. So as a racer that pays, $400, $500 a tire for a right rear that'll last you 2 races, I think that kind of stings when you see all the people with purple shirts walking around. And, that's just me as a racer thinking though. So I don't know. It's maybe they aren't making as much money as we think they are, but to be on a budget tire, a budget spec tire would probably be a little bit more beneficial to the whole racing longevity.
Last one I got for you, Matt, before I let you go, and if Adam's got something you can follow up. As you get into the season, what's the biggest thing you're looking forward to? I'm going to change up my last question. A lot of people speculate that Larry White just comes out of nowhere. Now, what do you attribute Larry White's success to at Alltech? Because, he's definitely, if we had to write it out on paper, he'd be a top 10 car, I think, going into that week. For him to sweep it with what they're saying is an older car, what's the magic there? What makes that happen?
Yeah, Larry was certainly good at Alltech. He was decent at Volusia. I think he had some bad nights or whatnot at Volusia as opposed to Alltech. But, Alltech's like a place where, Larry's going to race where nobody else will. Larry's willing to write that car off every lap, every corner. And I don't think there's many modified guys that drive all the way down to Florida to want to write their shit off. So Larry's probably one of the best race car drivers in the modified world. when it comes to like racing 125% for 35, 40, 50 laps, whatever the race is. So he did good at Alltech and ran half decent at Volusia, and then was really good at Volusia the last night when he won. So I think that he'd be a really good sprint car driver, or midget driver, or USAC driver, whatever them classes where you got to really send it around the top. He's really good at that, and it's probably one of my weaknesses. I'm definitely not as good as he is when you got to rip the wall like that. At least at Alltech. Maybe at Ransomville I'm pretty good at it, but that's about it. So he hit on something down there at Alltech anyways, and it'll be interesting to see what happens when we get to Fulton, Canandaigua, Weedsport, them slower racetracks that it takes a little bit of finessing to get around.
How much does confidence pay off? Like if you're Larry White and you leave Florida, you've got to be riding pretty high. Can that result in more wins at home?
I would say so. I mean, that's why we go down there, to try and get ahead of the game and knock off some wins before you get to June and you're winless, and then it's in your head that you can't win races anymore. So for him to go down there and win 4 races, obviously he's feeling pretty good, and I'm sure he's going to be pretty good at the beginning of the year. But yeah, Larry doesn't ever really like racing standard things. Larry always thinks outside of the box. He thinks that the 21 cars are good. He always wanted TO cars, and he wanted Troyer cars, and he wanted DKM cars. And he always looks for magic. So I think Larry's his own worst enemy. By May, he'll think of something to slow him down. So I don't think that May will be having this conversation. But who knows? If we are, and he keeps that momentum going, we certainly got to get to work. And it's, if he does hit on something, it's going to be fast, because it'll definitely be outside the box. That's for sure.
All right, Matt. Well, good luck with Port Royal. If you win, you're going to have to deal with us again. So go get it done.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. I'm good. I'm good anytime you want.
Good luck with the move.
Thanks, Matty.
All right. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Always good to have Matt. 35, man. I never would have thought that.
No, that's nuts. And
see what having a baby does? Adds 10 years to your life instantly.
That was the same Matt we saw in the hotel at the restaurant after the races, because most of the teams went to Gators Dockside Bar and Grill, and then back to the hotel. A bunch of the teams stayed at the same hotel and killed half a night or more. I mean, I bailed out pretty early because I'm old, but it was a great time. And before, I know this is kind of old because it's way back in the chat, but the only thing I would ask our viewers, don't no political conversations in the chat. As much as I'm all for free speech, not here. Racing is a place where we don't have to have those conversations, because it only took one message to get unhinged.
Yeah, you don't want us talking about it either, because it'll get unhinged in here between the three of us too. We have a bunch of topics to get through, so let's just start knocking them off. Random picks. Let's pick no slop here. Let's just clear the board a little bit. No slop here, Adam. This was Tricon Garage on Saturday, putting in a kind of a social media ad. We'd call it an e-flyer in our Weekend world. This is cool. Tricon Garage. This is what we want our teams to do. Promote the race. Use cool graphics. Do it up. So this is them, obviously, stylizing their cars to the culture of Atlanta, which is awesome. And then the comment came. Show the comment, Spencer. Someone at Tricon Garage has the perks of having a real and very much not AI designer. So this is what we had been complaining about. And then he showed the video of the designer actually making the art. So share that, Spencer. I thought this was neat, showing how he photoshops all this together.
Yeah, but AI probably could have done that too.
That's what Spencer said.
Right? But, so, I mean, good for them.
And maybe I'm the idiot for trusting a race team who says, wait a minute now, our guy actually did this.
Now,
So
see,
I
sarcastic
tend to
Adam would
believe.
say, no, you're an idiot for a lot of other things, but not that one specifically. But we're not going to do that tonight. So part of me says, what were they promoting? It just had a time, and it looked like a Transformers movie.
Okay,
Tell me
dear
what it is,
Krusty,
where it
we
is.
said that before we started. Show the
The
picture
five
again,
W's,
Spencer.
the five W's of press releases, of
No.
advertising, who, what, where, when, why.
Now, okay, so 1:30, FS1, Atlanta, Saturday. Is that what it says at the bottom? I can't read it on my glasses. It says Saturday, February 21st, 4:30 or 1:30. Sorry. So it has the info there. What it doesn't say is come watch the NASCAR Truck Series.
I'm
right?
thinking it's either a cruise night or a video game contest.
Okay, but you had to look who posted it. Anyways, the point of the story
Do I have to
was...
put on those glasses? Because these are for distance, not for up close. If I had those glasses, I could have seen.
So, anyways, we're asking our teams to promote a bit of creativity. It was almost like when they went to New Hampshire last year and they had the truck as a boat in the water. We liked it.
Just so remember,
you want more text.
It just has to at least steer someone back to the product we promote. Or they promote. It's their promotion. So promote what you want. But just make sure it gets the desired reaction. Because off the top of my head, I don't know what a Tricon Garage is.
Okay, fair enough. I guess maybe it's because I was already following them that I knew who I was listening to. So they were preaching to the choir. Maybe not.
A little. Like it's not bad. I'm nitpicking, but it's because we have a talk show and that's what we do.
All right, that's fair. Let's go to speak well of it. It is you. This was something caught me off guard, Adam, on the weekend. Did you know Hacksaw Jim Duggan played for the Atlanta Falcons?
Buddy.
Show the post, Spencer.
Are you asking me about a wrestler? When I saw you post, he's like, oh my God, I saw these. I told you I messaged Hacksaw Duggan last month, didn't I? When I was in Cops Coliseum on the anniversary of his Royal Rumble victory?
No, I don't. I'm sure I would have remembered if you told me that. We'll get to that in the story. Here's the story, though. So when Hacksaw Jim Duggan showed his thing, what caught me out of and why I brought this to the show is, in that bottom there, it says, speak well of the NFL. You are part of it. And like he said, before the NFL players strike. So the players were probably pissed off, talking lots of smack about the league and how shit the NFL was. And this reminds me of what we need to keep telling ourselves as racers here in this sport together, trying to pull on the rope together, as I like to say. We need to speak well of the sport and the tracks you hang around because you're part of it. So that was the point of that story, Adam. And I thought it was kind of cool that even back then the NFL was reminding them to, work together, not against the sport.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's important. You want, much like my comment on politics, I don't want to care what your politics are. You want rivalries, you want action, you want people to dislike, people to like, but in the grand scheme of things, we've all got to paddle in that same direction, right? You've got to make that venom or that disagreement make people want to come back more.
And it's totally talked about it yesterday on the phone about how we feel we've done a really good job at Ush Weekend, and the culture just seems different there. Even the way everybody talks and interacts, it just seems a lot more hostile at other places we've been to. And I'm so thankful that we've got everybody working on it because that keeps the positivity up, which makes us, invest in things like TV and the streaming and all these other things that are going on around us. So it's pretty crazy. Now,
keep in mind,
what do you guys think? Go ahead.
Eras matter, right? So we came into the sport in the 1990s when the internet was brand new, social media wasn't a thing. And I think racetracks were very much us versus them. Tech was a bad place, right? Like it was the the police and the bad guys, and the racers were all the bad guys trying to get away with something, but which really isn't the case. As time goes by, so it sort of makes people defensive right off the bat. The officials, the race director, there was a man. I remember the flagman being the most hated person in the place. As time went on and social media got bigger, we were in each other's living rooms constantly. Now we're in each other's hands, no matter where you are. There's just a constant flow of information, flow of right, wrong, indifferent, you be the judge sort of things. So we realize more now that we're all kind of on the same team. We just play very different roles. But everyone who shows up to the racetrack, whether you show up to work the concession or drive a race car or work on the speedway crew or sit in the grandstands, we're all on that same team, just filling different roles. So the disagreements, everything takes a different vibe than it did when we started. And I think some places adapt to that faster than others.
I think these, like we said before on the program here, passion is where we all get through this thing, and sometimes the passion comes out the wrong way. Let's try and make an effort in 26 to direct the passion in a positive manner at every chance, and I promise you, you'll get the same, if not a way better reaction from your local official or your speedway if you walk up with a bit of class and say, hey, I got a couple questions. You think we could talk about something? Instead of kicking the door in and saying, you guys are out to screw me over for the third time this year. We got some bad apples out there, man. I wish, just like I wish we could have an open, I wish I could name names on this show, because there's a few dickheads in this area around here who think they're all shit, to have shitty shit to post about everything that comes out. There's about 5 on my tongue right now. I just be like, you think you're helping, but you're really the biggest part of the problem we got. You're the biggest rock in the shoe, bud. Anyways, maybe we're the biggest rocks in the shoe. Who knows? Yeah, maybe. We have lost a bit of respect, Susie. Okay, couple things here. Let's try and tie a few things together. We were going to get to the DeBoer's question about what do we think about the time limit on the race for the trucks on Saturday. Let's talk about that in a minute. You also mentioned eras. That ties us into retirement from NASCAR. Show this picture of that, Adam, or sorry, Spencer. Retirement from NASCAR. Look at all the names, big name drivers that have retired in the late 2010s here. So in the last 10 or so years, we've lost Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, Dale Jr., Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Matt Kenseth, Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards, Clint Bowyer, Martin Truex, Ryan Newman, Greg Biffle, Jeff Burton, Jamie McMurray, Casey Kane, all retired or stopped racing full-time during this period in the recent to late 2010s. That's a wild amount of talent to have left the sport at a point where you're trying to keep fans. Yeah.
Are you a big NASCAR fan? Historically?
You know me, stats.
Spencer, this test is for you too. It's for both of you. Put that graphic back up, please. Where did those drivers cut their teeth? Where did they build their characters?
Oh, they all came in with a massive short track fan base.
And a resume. This is a serious question. And then I'm going to stop there and say, okay, now give me the same answers to the Gray brothers, Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, any of the new, all of those names on those lists had a history somewhere. And a rabid fan base or a rabid group said Denny Hamlin was not that revered in Virginia, even though that's where he came from. So some people come up and they've got this huge... Jeff Bodine was hated in New York. I can remember, he was in Darlington. We're at Oswego.
Would be. Right? If Stu Friesen went to the Cup, everybody would be a huge fan from this region. He would have a massive built-in fan base because of that. And you're right, all those drives, the path to Cup used to be, you had to be good and great somewhere else on the ladder up.
Build a legacy. And, build a story.
The two of the drivers, I just want to correct
and
you.
Sean, you're right.
Me. Two of the drivers you brought up that were Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney, I would say are the two that could have gotten in without that credential because their dad already brought that fan base to them. But, like you mentioned, the Gray brothers, there's a whole host of drivers out there with money.
These
and
are
no
test tube babies, right? In the sport of NASCAR.
Yeah.
Keelan Harvick just got signed to a big Toyota deal. And there was, in our
So
announcers Facebook group, there was a big question. Hey, is this a good signing? Is it? Listen, Toyota's making an investment. He's a pretty good investment because you know the lineage, you know where he comes from, so you know what you're getting. As opposed to another 13-year-old, let's compare him to someone he grew up racing with, which is Anthony Simone's son, Rocco. Why didn't Rocco get signed to a big Toyota deal? He won a bunch of races. Well, Keelan Harvick is a better financial investment for Toyota. Does that make us excited and happy? Seems like a good kid. He can drive a race car.
What I've been impressed by Keelan already is he's won what we would call upper level late model stock car type races in the past year. The kid's coming up at a very young age. He's racing the men. He's getting it done. Seems very classy. He knows how to make a post, or his people are at least making him look that way, obviously. But when you see him on camera, he's respectful. I think, Dad's, as we've talked about a few weeks ago, so, Susie brings up a question, Adam. Why do we say that drivers like the Gray brothers don't have a fan base? I would say, obviously, everybody has a fan base, but it was certainly not the fan base that a Rusty Wallace or a Darrell Waltrip or someone like that brought in when they entered the series, or Alan Kulwicki that was already an ASA champion. So you want to rebut that too, Adam?
Not really, but how ironic he's mentioned with Tricon Garage by AI. He got some viewers on FS1. I'm trying to see what their social media presence is. I don't know much about the two brothers. I know what they've been in the news for once in a while. I know one of them ran over their crew guy on the weekend. That was a bummer. I just don't get excited because I don't know who they are. And they're so young that I don't know where they've been. You want me to tell a racing story? Simona Di Silvestro was in the Olympics driving a bobsled. That's cool. She's raced in the Indy 500. That's a neat story. There's some meat on that bone. I don't have a whole lot of... But I will say, use either brother as an example. Had they been driving the 35 car at Daytona and drove into a crash 15 seconds after it happened and the network aired their audio, I would have as much disdain for them as I do for the driving, for the racecraft of Natalie Decker.
Funny enough, that leads us into our next segment, the Natalie Decker saga that has been for the past couple weeks, almost like you've been doing it for a while. Natalie got dragged a little bit on social media. I kind of like how Natalie's been handling this, and we have a clip of how she's been doing it. She's leaning into it. We're going to hear her own words here in a minute. But, there were definitely mistakes made. I don't know. What would you like to say about the situation before we watch a clip or two?
Before we watch the clip or two, I'm thrilled for her because they spelled her name right. They found her on social media. So she is getting all of the attention that she needs to get to keep her backers happy. What I hope is happening on the side is that she has hired a consultant or a mentor to teach her how to race, what to expect, what happens when cars crash in turn 2 at Daytona and you're not even at the start-finish line, and how you can avoid driving into that crash in turn 2 next time, given that same set of circumstances. I hope she's investing in a driver coach. She's already got the other side down pat.
But you were so angry about that? It's like you own the car she hit.
I'm not angry about it. I'm angry that so many people have missed the point because they're talking about her taking her suit off and posing for a picture with Bert Kreischer. I think that was awesome. She knows her fan base. She nailed it. What I'm disappointed with is the networks played her audio of being an asshole and being completely uninformed in a car race, and that is embarrassing. And that should be part of the storyline is I'm going to hire a coach for this to not happen again because you're not going to push me out of racing. I'm going to keep on racing. She can clearly drive a car in circles. She's done it. Just learn racecraft. And if you don't have it, you need to learn it. You need to be taught it by somebody.
Play the audio, Spencer. Or the video of Natalie Decker.
They were saying it was inappropriate that I had my shirt off with Bert, and that like it's like a disgrace to NASCAR and women in NASCAR. But the girl that was talking about it and like saying these things was saying the F word every other sentence. Tattoos, face piercings, all of them are okay. I don't care that she has those things. I don't care that she swears. But like, if you're gonna say someone's like, if you're gonna talk about someone being classy and like that it's bad that they're not classy, like maybe be a little classy yourself then. Like, I've never once been like, I'm the classiest lady out there. I know that's not me and my personality. I am very bubbly, I'm outgoing, I say what I want to say, and I like to feel hot and wear hot clothes and take my shirt off when I see Bert. So, like, I never once called myself classy.
I can appreciate the honesty. You know, I think that's the issue.
She kills it.
That, you know, when everybody, I think that's the issue with some of the other drivers that find themselves in the same situation she is. I don't want to name names, but getting hauled through the mud after. It's I don't know. It's so polarizing to see what they go through. But I'm glad to see her. And I thought we had another clip, but maybe I didn't send it through, where she was saying, look, Natalie Decker from 2018 would be crying every 10 minutes now, bawling her eyes out, trying to realize, should she still be doing this and should she quit racing? Now she's like, no, this is who I am. I'm not going away. I'm only going to figure this out. So you're going to have to deal with me one way or another. The other thing I just want to show, there was a picture, Spencer, of the shirt she started to sell this week. And she was like, hey, just like we tell the drivers to, jump on it and make something positive of it. So this is her shirt of a bra and her upper half. And it's under the one left side there. It says, hate me today, love me tomorrow. Natalie Decker. I mean, hey, do it.
No,
there's just another thing from this, Adam. This is for charity, too. She's not profiting off this. Her and her mom said they're going to take all the proceeds and go buy bras, underwear, and socks for women and give them to the homeless shelters.
That's PR, and that's brilliant, and I applaud her for it. Like, I'm happy for the attention. So when you live on that pedestal and promote yourself as such, which Natalie is, she has no shame in being attractive and being outgoing and being all the things that she is. Awesome. You are going to be under a little bit more of a microscope, and I think she's nailed it. It would almost be worth making some private calls. I'd be curious in the next week or so, because I'm sure her race car owner thinks the same thing. Boy, if she could drive a little bit better, if she had better situational awareness, we might have something here. And she very well might, because that's the hard part. Getting attention is hard. Once you've got it and doing something with it, that's also hard. Look, Carson Hocevar is a great example, right? He's living off this attention and doing a very good job. So it's not just women.
I caught some Denny Hamlin clips. He was saying, you know, everybody loves Carson Hocevar right now, but man, he's got one coming. You know, he's been a little overzealous now, and the paybacks are definitely out there cycling like buzzards right now. So we'll see what happens with the 77.
Do you ever remember hearing the in-car audio of Jeff Gordon when Ricky Rudd was pushing him down the front stretch at Charlotte?
Oh, like
he was speaking in an octave that didn't even sound human about how this guy's trying to wreck me. It's like, yes, he is. He's not trying to wreck you. He is about to wreck you. You are wrecking because you did something wrong to Ricky Rudd, and now he's making you pay for it. The sport works itself out. Jeff Gordon turned out okay.
I love a good payback. Is there anything better than a payback in the same race? Like, you did
exactly
on lap
when
20,
you do
so
it,
lap 80. Oh,
under green,
so good. All right. Let's move on out of that. Let's answer the question. What did we think about the timed race for the trucks? Obviously, we discussed it. It's the same argument could be said for the Olympic hockey you and I spoke about yesterday. Networks need a time limit. They need to know it's not a never-ending game, so they need to go to a 3-on-3 hockey or a shootout, or like they said, the truck, just a time limit. Me personally, I loved it because I was immersed that day. I was home Saturday. I had my NASCAR app. Had Stuart Friesen's pit radio synced on my phone to the TV. Full immersion. It was amazing. So, the TV didn't tell what happened to Stu. He was in the top 5. His voltage started to go down. So we followed that throughout the day. You watch something like that happen, but I don't know, Adam. Your thoughts on the time? And so to finish what I was saying, I thought it was exciting because I knew Stu was running out of voltage as the clock was counting down, and was he going to be able to still take a shot at this win before the battery let him down? And ultimately the answer was no. He fell about 2 laps short. So what were your thoughts on the timed race?
I think it's awesome because everybody knows when the end is coming, right? Mm-hmm. It's not impending weather. It might come or might not. You know the deadline is there. But I'll take it one step further. If I'm a truck owner or a driver, do I want to race on early Saturday afternoon, an hour before the O'Reilly Series race, or do I want to be standalone on Friday? I want to be Saturday every single time, right? I don't want people to have to tune in at a different time. Put me on the same day as the other series. It's an awesome day of racing. It's awesome for the fans. Like, that's just an overall great experience for racing.
See, I look at it the other way. I love that the trucks have their own Friday night show most of the nights. I understand your audience tie-in in that, but then you're asking your fans to spend 7 hours, 8 hours in front of the TV. By splitting it up Friday and Saturday, I tend to like it. I think you're going to get a way better audience in Friday night prime time than you will Saturday when people are cutting their grass at 4 in the afternoon. So, it's one half this, half that. But
are you sure? You want them to choose between Oshwegan on a Friday night and their truck race?
It happens anyways. Oshwegan's still way more exciting than the truck races. So
100%.
Bring it on. Just like we give it away for free in Derry to stay home.
All right, well played.
All right. Coilovers, are they the new way? I try to get Mac DeMann on to talk about it. We'll look at the pictures today. We'll hold the discussion. But this is a trend we may be seeing in sprint cars. You talked a lot about Nick Sheridan testing coilovers last year in a crate sprint. Now we see this new J&J be put together by the Bar Motorsports team for Mac DeMann, who was on the show a couple weeks ago. Rear coils. That's something new. Normally we see torsion bars on sprint cars. Show the other picture, Spencer. There they are getting Mac's number 4 ready to go. But coilovers on all 4 corners, that is some old sprint car technology that's coming back, but nobody has been making that work in a long time with a wing. Thoughts on that, Adam, before we dig into it next week?
Oh, good for them. It's fun to see something different. I mean, you're putting Mac DeMann in a crate sprint car. He's probably going to be competitive. I don't care if it's got coil springs or torsion bars.
Great technical story that we will follow throughout the year. We'll definitely be watching how that plays out.
I would like to hear from someone smart. Like, I'd like to hear from a Randy Williamson or a Bob Slack, and talk about the mechanical differences, the tunability, which one's more forgiving, which one has to be more precise. So I know, like with these left side panel bars.
Would Guy Forbrook's opinion make you feel any better?
I would think so. You name dropping?
The only one. No, I'm text dropping. Only one guy that has ever made a half-assed success on it was Sammy. And that's just because Sammy was that good at that time in his 30s. He's the only guy I've ever seen. In a crate car on the front, if the car is short, it might work. On the rear, I don't think it would be worth 2 shits. Problem is to get the shocks low enough in the front, the mounts get too low. That's just some inside thought. So obviously, we'll see what happens there. I did invite Mac on today. I'll read you the text I had from Mac before the show. I told Mac today, I said, hey, we are going to be talking about coilovers on sprint cars. Do you want to come on and talk about why you guys think it's a good choice for your comeback? He said, I can't do it this evening. And I said, okay, we'll stay in touch. So those are some of the tech stories we're following around here. Before we get into pictures and videos of the week, Photogs in the biz, Adam, this is a discussion. I'm almost too tired to get into it right now, but we've pushed it off. So I don't even know where to start. Let's start with the media agreement we have at Oshweekend. So show the red bar first, Spencer. So this is the media application that photographers have to fill out to get a free pass to Oshweekend and to gain access to the infield for victory lanes and to be able to take pictures from the infield. Okay? So in the red box here, it says all applications must be accompanied by a statement of representation on company letterhead from the media outlet being represented. You can take that off, Spencer. So basically, it's a form they fill out. They explain what entity they're with, whether it be Dirt Track Digest, Inside Track, whoever it is. We qualify whether it's a legit business, so it's not just, Johnny Joe putting up his little logo here and saying he's has a media outlet to get into the race for free. So then the second part of that, the yellow bar, Spencer, the second part of the agreement says selling of photographs or any of the merchandise / services, I'm going to remember that word, by an approved immediate pass holder, that means somebody we've granted this to, on Oshweekend property, will result in immediate revoking of your annual media pass and an indefinite ban from Speedway property. So Adam, we have photographers out there now where the photography game has changed. We used to have a Speedway photographer. We still do. Dale Callan does a good job. But as we've got more people coming into the media aspect, you have more people wanting to get in on this, right? And so as the promoter and manager, I want as many pictures going out of Oshweekend as we can get from as many outlets. But last year, we had at least one entity who is taking paid services. So I saw it was $300 to register your spot. So I'm assuming it's probably $750 to $1,000 minimum for the services of the year. And what you get are those kind of poster cards like we showed from Tricon Garage, promoting your racing at Oshweekend Speedway, it's good stuff for the Speedway. But the concern here, Adam, becomes that you start getting only pictures of the drivers that are paying for that service. And it's our job as a Speedway to give equal representation among all the racers with our photographer. So if you just got rid of a track photographer or you let too many of them in, the concern it becomes a paid service only. So if I don't pay anyone to take my picture, my sponsors aren't getting represented. It's a pay-for-play service, which isn't what we're trying to bring in here. So, our rules may be antiquated. You told me our laws are stupid. But what do we do? How do we govern that to keep it from being what we're concerned about, where it's only pay-for-play service?
What's your best case scenario?
Well, that's a tough question because the best case scenario.
Okay, let me stop. What if I want to have a photographer's vest, but I'll pay you the $40 to get in every week?
That's doable.
I don't like your terms.
But it doesn't mean you're.
But I need to be on the infield. That I can't sell my services. So let's say I'm Jimmy Lowenberg at the races. I need some pictures of the attitude of that car going through the corner so I can make it better this week. I'm going to charge the person who I make it better for, but I need those pictures, right? So he can take pictures, or he can pay someone in the infield to take. There are so many services going around. I know that you can pinpoint certain ones, but they're all good for the racetrack. And we're not.
So the problem, I'm not disagreeing that. The problem is, how do you quantify who deserves a media pass and who deserves infield access? Because it also now becomes a bit of a safety issue where you got not necessarily trained people in the infield where we're already trying to keep the 8 people we have in there alive.
So the people who are doing whatever they're doing, the services they're selling, as long as they are also providing promotion to Ohsweken Speedway with the photos or the videos or whatever they're producing, I think they're fulfilling the spirit and intent of their media pass. Whatever they're doing over and above, as long as they're not slandering people or tearing people down, as long as, like you say, they're working for the greater good while also providing that coverage. If they get to a point where it's not productive, and I don't even think you can say, look, it's got you. It's like the teacher in class when the kid's chewing gum. Did you bring enough for everyone in the class? Do you know how many days of my childhood I wanted to buy 5 packs of gum so I could say, yes, I have enough for everyone in the class, and we'd all just be chewing gum. But I think you get to the point, the main thing, don't put rules in your rule book that are hard to enforce. And that is so cloudy. I sent you a page of the World Racing Group credential agreement that even has a special section for people that are not really traditional media, but serving that role.
But you can't say our rules are cloudy. Our rules are black and white.
Yeah, they're dumb.
You may not like, I was going to get to that. You may not like them. Hey, I think a lot of laws in this stupid country are wrong, are stupid.
Hey, we don't talk politics.
But I still have to abide by them. That's fair.
Right.
But
so that's your choice. That's why I said before, yes, you need to enforce those rules and crack down on those people, or pull that page out of your freaking book because it's dumb.
Yeah, I think
so Tricon Garage could no longer put together that artwork if it contained an image from your racetrack. They can still do fun things, but don't be an image from the racetrack.
True. That's not true. We're talking about infield access is the main discussion here. Because if you want to pay your $40 and come in, do whatever you want. But if you want us to give you special access to a dangerous area that we don't give everybody access to, at some point you have to draw the line on who gets in there and who doesn't.
Do they take good pictures and promote the speedway?
Yeah, but they're only taking pictures of their guy, and that blows. And if you can't see that, you're just as stubborn as they are. How can you not see that is look at there were announcers in Ontario that we hated because they would only talk about the people that paid them the service. And that's fucking bullshit in this deal.
Right.
And you should know that more than anybody.
Right, but did you know that for years I was paid by people to promote them? And I announced their races? It never
Yeah,
showed.
but you know what?
You would never know because there's a level of professionalism. So if you are bad
I'll give it to you this.
If you're bad at what you do,
the person,
or if you're doing shit you shouldn't be doing, if it's unscrupulous, you deserve to be tossed. You don't need a rule to say, if you're an asshole, I'm going to treat you like an asshole because it's our sandbox. When I say ours, I mean everybody who is in the good books of Ohsweken Speedway who shows up on a Friday night, it is collectively our sandbox. And we police our own. Once in a while, you have to step in and really police things. But by and large, we do a pretty good job of making people smarten up, shape up, be decent. So you can always toss someone if they're not being decent.
The concern is, and it comes back to, this person doesn't have gum for everybody in the class. So if I had infield special video of every feature winner coming to the line to take the checker from this person, I'd be happy. But I only get it on week 7, 5, and 12 when their guy wins the race. And that's not fair.
So you don't want it on 7, 5, and 12? Do you not want it on week 7, 5, and 12?
Look, you said you weren't going to be a dickhead today. You were just being a dickhead for the sake of being a dickhead.
No, I'm not.
How do you not see that this could be a problem?
Because if they're focused on 1 or 2, you've already got camera operators who are focused on whoever the winner is coming across the line. And if someone else is out promoting you in your venue, I would either want to hire them or talk to my guys and say, look, I really want what these people do. We're going to hire a young person And you have a young person who works in our tower as a scorekeeper who can also do some pretty cool artwork. Say, I need the last 20 seconds of video from the leader at the finish of the race sent to our in-house designer.
It's not jealousy about us. It has nothing to do with us competing with this person for service.
Right, but I'm saying it's good promotion.
It has to do with equal representation, so the haves don't distance themselves from the have-nots, even in the media world.
No, there's no such thing as equal representation. It just doesn't exist. Every team is different. Every team has a different reaction. Sometimes people win and 50 people come to victory lane for the picture. Sometimes people win and 3 people come. Do you want to find 47 strangers so they don't look as lonely as the person last week? That's like every situation is very different and it's hard to police. I would rather not police it.
This is as ridiculous as you comparing Alan Johnson winning in '82 to anything modern, like you did when Matt Williamson was on the.
Why?
Totally, completely.
It's relevant. The same thing is happening 40 years later. At least photography and video is different than it was 40 years ago. I'm not doing it to make you angry. I'm just
Cars
doing it
are massively differently. Cars are massively
Why?
different than they were 40 years ago.
5 years ago, the same drivers were winning that won 40 years ago. Danny Johnson, Billy Decker. That baton was not
just
passed.
like you think Matt Williamson's 25. That was more like 10 years ago. Those guys haven't done shit in forever. Come on, give your head a shake. They haven't won since we went to Dirt Week at Syracuse, which was a decade or more ago.
What was the last year that Danny went?
They picked up a win or two, but not the glory days you're remembering. All right, let's have some fun. Good
Don't
debate.
pick on me. Don't throw hate because I have an opinion that differs from yours. I like promotion. I like seeing different things. Right? But I'm not a big fan of the picture. You know, we got to a point where their Dirt Track Digest days saying, please do not send a picture of a driver holding a checkered flag in victory lane. Please, for the love of God. That is not what we're selling.
The same thing we tell all the new photographers. I have a million pictures of cars going in circles. I want to see the crash, the damaged race car, the family pit shots. That is way more interesting to me than seeing a car at altitude, turning left. So
look at us agree.
Oh, we got the photographers coming out now. Tom Stevens is here from America. We got the American photographers.
Tom's come a long way, man.
Just so you know, speaking to the American photographers, the answer is tariffs. Alvers. We did talk about paying for the right to be in the infield at Oshweekon Speedway. So we'll find out where that tariff ends up going. Let's have some fun. I don't think we got a lot of pictures to look at. We got about 5 videos. So let's have some pictures and then we'll get through some videos and then we'll move on. We both shared this to the dump account, Adam. How cool is that? Connor Hollebuck's father was an ARCA short track racer at Flat Rock Speedway in the 80s and the 90s. Show the picture, Spencer. So the USA team goalie who won the gold, dad was a racer. So that
pretty flashy racer Canadians. At that.
Yeah.
No, that's cool, right?
Look at that driver window. I mean, Connor could get through there with all the goalie equipment on that window opening so big in that car. All right. How about some more pictures? This one kind of threw me off, Adam, because as you always talk about, the one who, the 5 Ws. So this says Colin Braun's going to race at St. Pete in truck number 25. And then in the same moment, it showed the next picture that shows Kurt Busch is coming back in the Colin truck number 25 at St. Pete. So a little bit confusing there. Who's driving the 25 this weekend? Are they both taking turns?
Should I know who Colin Braun is?
Road racer.
I'm a little out of touch. No disrespect, but yeah, I sort of drew a blank there.
All right, moving on, Spence. Ryan Litt shared this the other day with a few other F1 liveries on his car. This is his pavement sprint car. I don't like a McLaren. That looks pretty badass. You gotta like that.
It's awesome, eh?
Well, Spence. Oh, and of course the digs keep going. Sprint car guys always taking shots at the modified guys. This is how the modified guys wish they could race. Like, who thought that?
Can I?
Double luge. And some more Olympic
that's...
works. You can comment on that, sure.
I want to share a line that a fairly young racer, when we were down in Florida, we're in the hotel lobby and there's about 30 people, and they're talking about something that felt really good. We're talking about Larry White running the Larry White line. Can I say something? Okay, it's kind of vulgar, but it's kind of not.
Can you stop talking about something that... You got to stop talking about stuff that feels really good when we're looking at this picture. Can you please take the picture off, Spencer?
No, I feel leave the picture up, Spencer. We need a little bit of discomfort is good. But this young driver said, like taking the condom off for the first time. That's how good that felt. Like, wow.
Oh, my goodness.
Right. Like
it is really past. It's 911 right now in my world, officially on the time clock. Thank you.
I know. I had to, like, it's been, you should have seen a whole room full of people all look at the same time at this person who said it and then burst out laughing because it was the innocence with which it was said. Like, that just happened to you, didn't it? Like this is...
You've been waiting weeks to slip that in, haven't you?
It was, yeah, it's kind of vulgar, but at the same time, it's so relatable, and it was the best line I've heard in a long, long time.
Next picture, Spencer. This was a joke. Obviously, the curling guys almost got in a fist fight talking about double touching at the curling, but I thought this was an interesting look at Photoshop. All right, Spencer, is that it? That's it for pictures. Let's look at our Burger Barn videos of the week.
That hurt me to watch.
Yeah, show that in slow-mo, Spencer, if you can. Those posts just kind of jump out.
Yeah, this is a poor design.
Yeah, like, and this goes back to racers too. You got to look at where they're putting in front of you and decide whether you really want to risk it and be out there on the track they've provided. Because even a fool can see those 3 tires. We're not going to save your life with that.
No,
there should have
been. There should have been those same hard plastic rink boards coming all the way around to propel you away from that. Like, that's just bad news.
Pretty wild stuff. All right, what's next, Spencer? Did you see this one? So this was an indoor demo derby, and the car goes right through and takes out a bunch of people.
I'll take places I shouldn't have been sitting in the first place for 500, Alex.
Yeah.
That doesn't show the end of it. Did you see the guy that got squeezed sitting between the fence and what looked like a horse trailer?
Yeah, and I mean, those barriers, those concrete Jersey barriers on concrete, I mean, you can almost, a few guys might be able to slide that around on its own. And I'm probably exaggerating now. But I mean, you know, I never knew you could move a full, I never knew you could move a full outhouse by hand either, till I saw Robbie Longboat do it at Oshweekend this summer. I'm like, I need to move them. Go with the skid steers. Like, nah, we can just push them.
Yep.
All right. Couple more videos a week and we're done.
That's about right. We finally win one.
Stop this one, Spencer. Is this the last one? Okay, I just gotta say, this is like every excuse I've heard Adam as a promoter over the years. This came up in my memories. I shared this to myself before we even had this show 6 years ago. So roll this one. This is every excuse you're gonna hear to short track.
That's about right. We finally win one and they cut the purse tonight.
That track done rubbered up.
How in the heck did they run out of hamburgers again?
Tires went away.
We would have had that thing but we just
I
ran
love
out of
this
Yeah,
guy.
well, if he's got something to say about it, you tell him to come down here and say it to my face. That ain't him walking this way, is it?
Pushing like a dump truck.
Y'all see that cat driving that wrecker? He did more damage to my car than the crash did.
I swear, I'm racing with idiots out there.
We were 50 pounds heavy at the house. There's no way. Y'all need to recalibrate these scales. They're wrong.
They lined us up wrong again.
Yeah, well, he'll have to show me where it says that you can't run nitrous. I don't remember reading it. I don't remember reading that.
My J-bar broke. I know he's cheating, but we're by the book.
You're right.
God,
It
I love that
does say no turbo, but it didn't say anything about twin turbos. Got him. Track is way too dry. I guess their water truck broke down again.
They need to move them skidder tires.
Y'all see that cat right there? He's got money, but he ain't very smart. They went through 4 engines, 3 chassis, and 2 new fire suits this season trying to outrun us. Well, they got us tonight. You know what they say. You can't outrun that money.
Sorry I got into you, cat. The brakes went.
I wish one of them would say something to me. It's been a minute since I got to throw these hands. Charge that caution, then turn.
It goes on forever. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's well done.
Too fun. 2 more to go. Let's see what we got, Spencer.
Look where the tire goes. Man! Right in the upper torso, the head area of the rear tire changer
Watch
for the 88.
This is Pocono last year.
He's a D1
but watch, gets hit
player,
right
so
to the
he's
tire.
taken hits before.
Right to the
This
chest.
right here, that is a vicious hit. In his hand, it almost looks like he drops the gun.
So Justin
That's heavy.
from the accident scene.
Yeah, pretty well. Okay.
In reverse all the way.
Last Burger Barn video of the week.
Get out of turn number 1, a very, very slow restart, but a clean restart as Thompson.
I feel like we've seen this before too.
Battle for second. Oh, the 88 of Wilson Martin is right in front of the rest of the field, and we've got a huge problem. Huge.
We've all been to the track where the on-ramp guy says go when it should be the red, right? Show that one more time,
Yep.
Spencer. It's just wild, you know. So this driver pulls out right in front of the field from the pits.
A clean restart as Thompson is going to hang on to the race lead, battle for second. Oh, the 88 of Wilson Martin is right in front of the rest of the field, and we've got a huge problem. Huge stack up coming out of turn number 4.
Yikes.
Man, that is a track manager's nightmare because, your guy sent them out or the guy went through and you can't turn back time and you can't give the guys the win back who had it obviously in hand. Oof. Those are the nights I don't watch the broadcast back.
Speaking about the guy who lets the cars out, how about some well wishes for Brian Halwell?
Good point.
Going through some treatment, going through a battle, but we're thinking about you.
For sure, man. Another good show. Cleared the board once again. Thank you, Spencer, for everything you do. Thank you for hanging out with us. Adam, I appreciate the good attitude today. You and I are both in a bad mood. It's 7 o'clock, and here we are smiling at 9. So we appreciate everybody for getting us through it and making it better.
Even that battle about your media rules, I think there's good arguments both sides. I think ultimately, though, when people are doing things to promote the sport, it is a good thing. And I think we need to encourage more. You don't have to be on the infield, but I think it's good to encourage more and more. Figure out a way to keep the promotion going, keep things positive.
Yeah, I'm not against it by any stretch. We just got to make sure we're doing it right and change the wording or figure it out. So thanks, everybody. We really appreciate you again, Spencer. For us, drivers meeting is next Sunday at Osh Weekend. We'll talk about that. Not this one. We got one more show before that. We'll talk about that. It's going to be like on March 8th, and the following week we're in Mississauga, Motorama. So season is upon us. We'll talk to you soon.
Ray Morneau is going to join us in the coming weeks to talk about his season. He's got some exciting stuff going on.
All right, sounds good. See everybody next week. Thanks for hanging out.